You know that feeling? It's 1 in the morning, the house is silent, the city's finally gone to sleep, and your mind just starts to wander into those big, deep questions. We've all been there, right? It's that quiet time when all the noise of the day just fades away and we're left alone with our thoughts. So tonight, let's just lean into that feeling and ask one of those questions: what is reality, really? There's something really special about this time of night. It's almost like a state of awareness without attachment. You're not trying to solve anything, you're not trying to label anything. You're just there, you're present. And it's in this quiet space that the most interesting questions seem to pop up. I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. The chair you're sitting in, the phone or screen you're looking at, it all feels so solid, so obviously there. But is that the whole story? What if what we call real is just the surface of something way, way deeper? To try and get our heads around this, we're going to borrow a simple little thought experiment. Let's take an apple. Seems about as real and straightforward as an object can get, doesn't it? Well, let's see what happens when we start slicing it up. Okay, so first, you've got the apple itself, right? The solid fruit. Slice into that, and you start to see the texture of its biological cells. But let's go deeper, way beyond what our eyes can see. Now you're looking at the complex molecules that make up those cells. And deeper still, you find the atoms, the tiny building blocks of all that matter. And if we could somehow slice even further than that, we'd find we're not even dealing with little solid balls anymore. We're in the realm of these shimmering, energetic quantum fields, basically just waves of possibility. And here's where things get really weird. As we slice down through all these layers of reality, at some point, the thing we started with, the apple, it's just gone. There's no appleness in a single atom, and there's definitely none in a quantum field.
So, where did it go? If the apple isn't actually there at its most fundamental level, was it ever really there to begin with? This is the big puzzle.
Well, it turns out the apple was never a single thing in the first place. It's a label. It's a name our minds give to a very specific and stable arrangement of particles. It's not the ingredients themselves that make the apple. It's the structure, the pattern they all form together.
You know, this idea might sound super modern, but it's not entirely new. Way back, over 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Plato came up with this amazing analogy that actually helps us understand this whole thing, his allegory of the cave.
So Plato pictured these prisoners in a cave who could only see shadows dancing on a wall. For them, those shadows were reality. They didn't know anything else. So what if our everyday reality, that apple, is just like one of those shadows, a projection of a deeper, more fundamental reality, the quantum fields, the physical laws that we can't see directly? It's a perfect way to think about the gap between what we experience and what might actually be.
Okay, so we've kind of taken apart the physical world and figured out it's all about arrangement. But there's a huge piece of this puzzle we've been ignoring. The one thing that's actually perceiving the arrangement. What about our own consciousness? I mean, science is incredible at slicing matter down into its smallest parts. But it kind of hits a brick wall when it comes to the observer. Can you slice awareness? Can you find the atom of a thought or the quantum field of a feeling? It just doesn't work that way.
See, awareness is that totally private first-person experience of what it's like to be you. A scientist can measure your brainwaves, they can map all your neural activity, but they can't climb inside your head and measure the feeling of seeing the color red or the taste of a sweet strawberry. That's a completely internal reality. So where does this observer even come from? Honestly, nobody knows for sure. Materialism says awareness is just what happens when you get a complex enough arrangement of matter, like our brains. Panpsychism suggests that awareness isn't an arrangement at all, but a basic property of the universe itself, like gravity or charge. And then you've got idealism, which flips the whole thing on its head and says the physical world is actually an arrangement happening inside of a bigger, universal awareness. The jury is very much still out on this one.
Here's a quick thought experiment that'll kind of bake your noodle. Try, right now, to imagine a state of absolute non-awareness. Just nothing. Go ahead. You can't do it, can you? Because the very act of imagining requires the one thing you're trying to imagine away. From our own point of view, awareness isn't just another object in the universe. It feels like the very space in which the universe shows up.
So how do we tie all this together? The disappearing apple, the observer we can't find, Plato's shadows, it all comes back to one single, really beautiful idea.
Let's think about something simple, like water. It's made of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. By themselves, they're just gases. Hydrogen is super flammable. But arrange them in that very specific H2O pattern, and poof, you get this stable, life-giving liquid that's totally different.
And here's the key. Where is the wetness? You can't find wetness in a single hydrogen atom or a single oxygen atom. Wetness is an emergent property. It only shows up because of the specific structure, the specific arrangement of those atoms. And for an even more mind-blowing example, just look at carbon. Arrange carbon atoms in these flat little sheets, and you get soft gray graphite, the stuff in your pencil lead. But take those exact same atoms and arrange them in a rigid 3D crystal lattice, and you get a hard, brilliant, transparent diamond. Same ingredients, different arrangement, completely different realities.
And that, right there, is the big insight. From apples to diamonds, and hey, maybe even to consciousness itself, reality isn't just about the stuff, it's about the structure. The world we experience, its solidity, its colors, its meaning, it all emerges from the pattern, the configuration, the arrangement.
So this leaves us with one last really big question to ponder. If the world we know is all about arrangement, and we humans are getting better and better at arranging things, from atoms to information, what new realities, what new properties are we capable of creating? What are we going to arrange next?